back. Feels like been off for a month, but it's only been a week. Hopefully everybody had a great Labor Day weekend and didn't burn off or blow off any fingers or anything of the sort, and back at it again. So you'll see in the comments there, I guess Facebook did it for us, but as we continue to grow with our following there, you now have the option to send us some stars with monetary or without monetary value, just to tell Blair and I how much we suck and give us the support we always desire. So, but yeah, back again, we have a full docket. Obviously no guests tonight, but a full docket of our normal show. Go through some national results in the Dirt Natty recap, and then the Dirt and CO weekend recap. Had 2 local tracks put on a show this past Saturday, and then got Slang explained with Blair, and everybody's favorite segment, Cars Gone Wild. And boy, do we have a docket full of funny ass stuff to share with you guys tonight. So, and welcome Warren Rhodes. He was one of the fine folks who reached out and gave us an idea for the Cars Gone Wild this week. So we appreciate that. But yeah, without further ado, Brandon Hall back again. Got my honcho mustache ready just in time for hunting season. And no, your wife cannot have a mustache ride. I'm a married man with a daughter. So before anybody comments, appreciate that. We'll just get that out of the way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just trying to, save the comments. But in all seriousness, yeah, glad to be back and pass to Blair here and kick off the show.
Right on. Well, it's good to be back. Yep. I'm Blair Cooper, sprint car driver, and still on the podcast. So we're back at it. I'm glad. It was weird to have a week off. I actually just worked on the car and got some stuff done. So just wait till your first off season. It's like you have Mondays back, and it's wild. We're going to try to race into the winter, I think, a little bit. I talked to Spencer Hill, and they're racing at Vado on Thanksgiving week. Oh. So we're going to try to go pretty far into it. But we'll see how the weather holds up. Getting over the pass might be a nightmare. Yeah. If you'd ever build that indoor complex, I'd be racing this winter too. So yeah, down there in Pueblo. All right. Well, before we kick off the show, obviously want to give some love to our presenting partner for Scrub and Tires Media, including both podcasts this year, Racing Rowdy Ranch. Obviously, Blair sporting a new hat, the Colorado hat with the state flag. So actually sold out of those. So thank you, Blair, including there, getting those sold out. Do have a new feature on Racing Rowdy Ranch. If there is sold out merchandise on there, you can click the notify me button when it comes back in stock, and that lets me know, hey, I want that hat, and I can make more. So make sure you use that feature if you're wanting something that's out of stock, because obviously starting small, don't want to order 15,000 hats and then have them sitting on the shelf. So if you want something, hit that button on the website itself at www.racingrowdyranch.com. Or just send me a note or Blair a note, and we'll get you squared away. So without further ado, we'll play the ad and then get right into the World 100 and a race from the High Limit Racing Series. So here we go.
Racing Rowdy Ranch was created with one person, one adjective, and one place in mind: the blue-collar racer and the crew behind the scenes. A word that can describe these racers and crews and how they live. Finally, a place where the straightaways and turns are these racers' pastures and hills, all bordered by concrete walls that could share more than their fair share of memories, even after several coats of paint. We are racing. We live rowdy, and we long to be at the ranch, riding for the brand. An apparel company designed to showcase just that. Push the limits every day, and be proud of who we are. Visit www.racingrowdyranch.com now to order yours today. Saddle up, strap in, and live rowdy. Proud presenting partner of Scrub and Tires Media, Throwin Sliders, and Hitting the Chip podcasts.
There we go. You know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, rewatch the podcast. And that's what we'll say. Get you a nice hat and match every other cool racer and driver and spectator out there in the state of Colorado. So yeah, get right into it. Did not get to watch the World 100 at Eldora from this past Saturday. Wish I would have. And we'll get into why we named the episode what we did, but that was for those folks wondering. I was one with food poisoning and blowing motors all night Saturday night, so thankful that I'm even here, to be honest, and that I have tissue left in my throat with all that acid. But nevertheless, the World 100, obviously a prestigious event. I know we talk a lot of sprint cars on here. And Blair and I were actually talking about in the pre-show that I feel like, to no one's fault, late model racing, and I know there's fans, dirt late model racing is a huge deal. I love watching it. I feel like this year and maybe even into half of last year, sprint cars have just really blown up and kind of taken the scene, if you will, for dirt tracking. But nevertheless, wanted to spotlight. Sounds like, and from what I'm reading and watching some of the highlights, it was a good show. And you had 28, I believe, started the feature, which is a very prestigious race, as I mentioned. I don't recall how much it was to win, $57,000 to win. So pretty good payday for a one-night event. But it was Bobby Pierce who took it. It's his second World 100 win. He did it back in 2016 as a 19-year-old, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, he got the win over some pretty, good star power. Jonathan Davenport took third, all up in there. You had a lot of, like I said, big guys in there in the field. Some of the ones like a Nick Hoffman finished dead last. Ricky Thornton Jr. Finished kind of towards the bottom, so didn't really get to see what all happened. But Bobby Pierce was your winner and edged, by 0.387, so 0.3, almost 0.4 of a second at the finish line. So yeah, congratulations to Bobby Pierce. And it looks like he led 46 laps, which is the highest count of the 95 laps, and obviously led the most important one. So congrats to Bobby Pierce there, and seems like it was a good show. So moving into the sprint cars, with taking the week off and having a guest last time we were on live, we've missed a couple high limit shows, which obviously we make the guest episodes all about them for good reason. But Mr. Rico Abreu, and I actually threw on the shirt before the podcast and didn't even think about it, but go Mr. Rico. The past two high limit races, he's been kind of on a roll. They were at Port Royal Saturday night, 58,000 and change to win. And he got it done. And that is his seventh, I believe, victory of the high limit series this year. So that seems like a lot. But I was reading the point standings, and he is still second to Mr. Brad Sweet by 230 points. So obviously those DNFs and stuff like that start to rack up. And I feel like Brad Sweet if he doesn't win, he's always on the podium or right thereabouts. So just consistency with that guy, obviously having 5 World of Outlaw titles for a reason. So,
what's funny is he really has struggled though this as of late. Mm-hmm. I think that was his first win in, I can't remember how many races, but it's been a long time since he's
Rico.
Had a win. It's like, no, Sweet. It's been like
Sweet, yeah.
Dry spell in his career.
Yeah, I think if I'm remember, their season started back in February, so it's hard to keep track. But yeah, he started off strong, and then he kind of, like you said, he's kind of been going through a dry spell. But like I said, consistency for him, it's paying off because he's still leading the points, and I wouldn't see why. I was shocked to see Corey Day back there in 5th, which we can talk about him after a while. But yeah, so congrats to Rico. He's kind of on a hot kick right now, and he's $58,500 richer after Saturday night. So I believe they are. What's that?
Plus that 120 some thousand from Skagit that he collected.
Yeah. So him and that team are. Yeah, that's almost enough to buy a new motor for a 410. But they are
half.
Yeah, they are up this Friday night at Lernerville for the Commonwealth Clash. So going back to the. Try to steal some money from the PA posse again. So, all right. That was it for your national scene. So, Blair, if you want to kick us off into the local.
Sure.
Oh, I got a comment here. Jacob Smith, is that the Dad Stash or the Rico Suave? Both. I actually was working out, was that last week? And I said, always once a year I do a mustache, and just felt right. So I figured, you got to look a little tough now that you're a dad. So it's not just a, average mustache. You got to do the handlebar to look tough. So
don't let him lie to you either. He showed up to the podcast and pre-show with an overcoat and nothing under it. So
yeah, that's right.
You have to put a t-shirt on or something. I think you're probably still pantsless on there. Huh?
Nope, I got shorts on.
Nice.
on.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, lead the way.
I-76 this weekend. They had looked like pretty good car counts. They don't run sprint cars there anymore, but I guess they struggle with car counts and stuff. But I did see them put on a really good wingless show once, and that kind of made me a little bummed that they don't do it. But it looks like 270 wing micros. Blake Lawson, Skylar Granger, and Chaz Lawson were your A feature winners, and there was 11 cars in that one. So there's quite a few micros that run there. And then mini mods, those are always fun to watch with the little kids. Jackson Morris out of Briggsdale, Colorado won that one. Silas Speicher and Levi Speicher. Speicher? They were your Speicher, sorry. And then
it's all good. We've been off for a week.
They had carts there. Where was your cart?
It's sitting in the garage with the motor torn apart.
Ryan Leckman won that one. There was only a few of them, so 3 carts, but they were gas too.
Oh yeah, not electric.
It says gas carts.
Yeah, gotta make the distinction. Man, God Almighty, get that one out of there.
Dwarf cars. Your A main Xander Morrison out of Frederick, Colorado. I don't think I've heard that name, so that's a new one. Followed by Dale Welsh and Wyatt Morrison. So it looks like a lot of I'm guessing family teams. A lot of the same names running up front.
Yeah, I think we've called that maybe once or twice, but
maybe I just missed it. But
good possibility.
IMCA modifieds, and I'm guessing this is A mods. But your A feature, they only had 6 to start, so maybe I was a little off on car counts. But Jeremy Frenier out of Fort Morgan won that one, followed by Bubba Alvarado and Max Quint were your top 3. But yeah, again, only 6 of those. Oh, maybe I was wrong. That was a heat race. They had it mislabeled. Oh no, this is sport mods now. So your Northern Sport mods, looked like there were quite a few of them. 14, Danny Councilman out of Springs won that one, followed by Chad Dolan and Mike Mike Opatic out of Fort Morgan. So let's see what else we got here. And then stock cars, Jeremy Frenier again. So was that 2 classes? Was he in A mods too? Yeah. And then Brian Lessig out of Peyton and Kevin Jenkins out of Hudson. There's another Blair there. Blair Ruppel finished 4th. You know, it's
probably better than you.
Probably. And then hobby stocks, there's only 3. So yeah, I was wrong. A lot of classes. Car count's kind of down this weekend. I don't know if everybody's getting tired, running out of money here, or what the deal is. But Kenny Adkins won that one, followed by Chappie Adkins. Chappie actually ran Legend Cars. I'm sure it's the same one. That's not a very common name. So
yeah, Chappie.
It's on the dirt and a hobby stock. And then Thunder stock, same thing. Only 3 of them for the feature.
We got to find out from one of the viewers if the Thunder stocks is what we alluded to with 2 people in it, or what the deal is there.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up, or we'll ask. But Brandon Hyatt out of Castle Rock won that one. So, and then midgets. So they did have, a lot of DNFs, but you had 16 midgets. So that probably was the show to watch that night.
I bet you Blaine Luan's ears just perked up.
It took me a second. These are midget cars. But
he's on too.
Keep him away from the tailpipes. Keith Rosh out of Denver won that one, followed by Adam Trimble, and then Blaze Bennett. And then Corey Malo.
Blaze Bennett, what a name.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
His brother races too. They're always they've been pretty fast in the midgets. But and then old Corey Malo, he finished 4th. He almost made the podium. So
damn it, Corey.
See him running back in a midget.
Yeah. And it looks like we got confirmation from Scott Rhodes, 1 person Thunder stock. So what is it, just like a kind of like a pure stock on asphalt kind of thing, or is it step below? What are the class you just named? Stock.
So they have Thunder stock, hobby stock, stock car.
Stock. So it's got to be under or above hobby stock, I imagine. But anyway. We have a bet request for you, Mr. Blair.
What's that?
With Mr. Mark Bremkamp. Can we make a bet with Blair Cooper? If he wins the race and the remaining races he keeps his beard and stash. If he doesn't get a win, he has to shave it all.
I could do that.
All right. A bet's a bet.
Yeah, my wife's not going to like it, but
yeah. Oh no, she's already not willing to take that risk.
In me,
yeah. Well. Yeah. Damn. If he doesn't win, we're going to have a divorced man on the side of the corner of I-25 and whatever the main drag is in his Pueblo with no beard. So please let this man win. Yeah. Not good.
Yeah.
Step below hobby stock. Okay. We were right. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have to check
Gotcha.
it out. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
They don't have them here in Pueblo, I don't think. I've never seen them run, but maybe I just
I can't tell the difference, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
the stock car motor though.
no, I'm sure. Yeah. Is that the 602 crate in it?
I think that's what hobby stocks are.
Yeah. Oh, hobby stock. Gotcha.
Yeah. So stock cars can get up there. You hear some of them, they got some decent horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that was I-76, and segueing into Honor Speedway. They had the Dollar Dog Night, which I assume is hot dogs for $1, so can't beat that. They had the Dwarfs, Compacts, Farm Trucks, Mini Bikes, Warrior South, the Carts, the Steel City Minis, and the Lawnmowers, taking me back to my high school days. So start off in the Dwarf cars. Whatever happened to Tip ever since the injury there? I'm not sure if it's still a setback or what, but nevertheless, Brett, I always get this wrong. Peel, right?
Yeah. Midge.
Brett Midge took the checkers in the old 22 machine, followed by the 55 of Eddie Adams and Brett Rice. I actually bought my legend car from Brett Rice, so cool to see him. I know he was talking about building a Pikes Peak hill climber modified thing out of a Dwarf, so cool to see him back racing and got on the podium. Junior compact feature, you're going to hear this name a lot. The 44B of Brayson Siegel got the win over the 43 of Wade Petty and the 07 of Ella Allen. And so that was your junior compact feature into the Warrior South division. Again, the 44B of Brayson Siegel taking home a lot of trophies, followed by the 76 of Cruz Merrifield and the 22N of Nask Cohen. And then in your Steel City Minis, there was 2 of them, the 8 of JT Baxter and the 12 WW of Lily Baxter. So family affair out there. Nice little picture on their Facebook page of the brother and sister holding the trophy in the Steel City Mini division. In the mini bike feature, Charles Rossman was your winner, followed by Nick Rossman and Isaiah Barlow. And the Lawnmowers, grandfather to Brayson Siegel, Sean Siegel. Looks like he was the only sole lawnmower that showed up, but hey, at least you got a checker flag.
Did they give chassis manufacturer and motor?
Yeah, it doesn't say. Doesn't say what size of belt he was running either. He was probably cheating. Steel City Carts, the 751 of Ella Allen was your winner, followed by the 44B of Brayson Siegel. So he didn't get the trifecta. Actually, he did. I thought I saw the farm truck feature. He had a trophy standing next to him, but looks like it was rained out. So yeah, that was your rundown of Honor Speedway this past Saturday. So yeah, I guess we'll kind of go into why we named this episode Why We Did, and then Blair's going to get into Slang Explained. So food poisoning, haven't had that in a long time. And I kind of really forgot what it was all about, but the wife and I had a date day on Saturday and watched a movie at the theaters, but we decided to get some pizza and beers beforehand. And then, yeah, just ensued from there, and really was bedridden. Could barely even text people back. It was miserable, and blowing motors at the restaurant and blowing motors at the house, and slept it off throughout the night. And then the wife woke up the next day, and she was blowing motors out the other end, if you know what I'm saying. And so it was a rough weekend, to say the least, but we're back, and glad to be on the podcast. So if you're wondering why we titled it that, I would stay away from a pizza joint in Denver. I'm not going to call them out specifically, but it rhymes with Aries and starts with a P. So stay away from that place.
Maybe just poisoning you.
Maybe.
She's making it, but she's trying to get rid of you already. She's got the.
No, I hope she's not. I hope she's not listening or watching, because I heard it coming out. There was no faking that. There was. I mean, we put in a big order of dude wipes this yesterday, and then those things are clutch, man. You gotta dap at that point, because yeah, it's liquid magma. Anyway.
Bad gasket.
Yeah. So you replaced all the gaskets, that's for sure. Oh, man. All right. We'll go into Slang Explained, and this one actually came from curiosity out of myself. Blair's going to explain to us, and we'll kind of hem-haw on that. And then, yeah, I don't know if we wanted to go into the Corey Day deal before Cars Gone Wild or not, but I'll leave that up to Blair. But Take it away. Slang, explain.
Brandon and I were talking. I really should have probably had a visual. I know Tanner Holmes actually does a video on it, so that's probably a good one to watch. But we were talking about sprint cars and midgets and starting them and everything and kind of the procedure. And it's pretty simple. But when we were talking, I think, Brandon, you had mentioned the chili bowl, them having to refire everybody. And we hear that debate a lot about sprint cars, them putting starters on them. I'm sure it's possible, but I don't know how to do it without a transmission or putting it into gear once it's locked in. But basically, for those that don't know, sprint car, no transmission or anything, your drive shaft is literally hooked to a coupler with a U-joint that goes right to the crankshaft. And then it's got some splines and it hooks to the rear end. So you are direct. When they say direct drive, there's nothing in between, and it goes right between your legs, and it sits in what they call a torque tube. And that's basically just to keep dirt and everything out of it and protect the driver if you grenade that thing. So they can come apart. And Swindell actually had that happen at Knoxville not too long ago. Luckily, no injuries from it. But basically, to start the sprint car, you get to where you're going before you push off onto the track, and you have only an in and out on the rear end. So instead of a transmission, you have engages and disengages the ring and pinion in the rear end or the gears. And then when they go to fire you off, you have a couple things to check. And first one is we always usually flip the fuel on, and then your gauges. And when you flip the gauges on, you'll look for your oil pressure. And before you throw the magneto, so again, we don't have batteries or anything. The mag makes its own power. So once you get your oil pressure up, then some cars have a fuel pressure gauge, but like mine's only oil pressure and water temp.
What's a good number that like, all right,
on oil pressure?
Yeah.
When we're cold, mine will be about 72 to 75 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I won't fire it off unless I see about 50, but usually if it'll go from 0 to, and then it'll be 10 pounds, and then probably takes you about 30, 40 feet. If a guy's pushing you pretty hard, and then you have your fuel all the way on and flip the mag switch, and it just comes right to life, hopefully. In fact, I had problems with that at Lincoln County. One of my pill line came disconnected, and so it was just shooting raw fuel everywhere. Because that pump is like a garden hose. But so it's pretty simple procedure. But and then you can leave the car running in gear, or you can pull it out of gear while it's running, but you can't ever go back in. So that's what's always a pain in the ass with them restarting them.
Okay, that makes so you can pull it out of gear, but you can't go back into gear without it jolting forward.
You got to kill it and start over, and that's what can be. You need a lot of push vehicles. In fact, Danny McBride, that's what he comes out, and he's been pushing with us, and then he's been doing some asphalt stuff. But if you get a good guys and they know what they're doing, because you see guys junk cars pushing all the time.
Oh yeah.
Some of these guys that don't know what they're doing. So I always like to see him line up behind me. There's a few guys that, you trust. Sometimes you'll see somebody that's in you're like, I don't know, what they're really doing.
Yeah.
You just never know if you're going to get run over on the right rear or something.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So I guess, thank you for that. Cause I've always wondered, because obviously with the Outlaw cart, you can, similar but opposite, you can start in gear, and drag the tires, until you get it going. Or what I did and will continue to do is just start in neutral, and then you get up to speed and throwing it in gear, and then you take off, or you should anyway. But back to that point about the midgets, obviously similar drivetrain to a sprint car.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of complaints on social media about various chili bowls it does take a long time, the A-main night, on Saturday night, like between, getting them pushed out there, however many there is, 24 cars or whatever, that each push truck. And then if they have a caution, which they're going to, or a red flag, which they're more than likely going to, then you got to do that whole process for 24 of them. Like how, without a transmission, how would you, go about putting a starter on them if there is a way?
What's weird is I've seen on asphalt, they actually have like a shaft. So like I can start my sprint car on stands. I actually disconnect or take the rear end cover off, and it's battery powered, and it'll fire it up on the rear end. I'm not sure, but I have seen on asphalt midgets, and I've actually meant to look into how that works, but it's kind of like a Formula One or something where they have the external machine and they stick the splines in there. It fires the motor. But I don't know how that works with direct drive. So to get the rear end engaged, or if they're just warming them up that way, I'm pretty sure I saw one take off out of pit road in the little 500.
I don't know. It'd be interesting because they don't have like a, the sprocket coming out of the motor is connected to the driven gear or the drive gear. So you can't put something like that on it. That's interesting. But yeah, I know that it would probably cut the Chili Bowl duration probably in half if they could figure out a way to,
you know,
get
that's
them.
one thing though, is like, I think for me, like, I know there's a lot of people, if you have a good show with a lot of pushers, you can, like when we were at Lincoln County, there was almost a pusher for every car. Luckily, we only had, I think, one red flag where we had to park it, but we were fired up. And if you run a good show, I mean, Chili Bowl's obviously a little different because there's just so many cars, but
Right.
we were fired back up and ready to go in probably about 45 seconds after the red. And it was,
Yeah.
so that's a big thing.
That's
too.
fair.
A lot of guys pushing, but
Yeah.
Sprint cars and engines to me are made to be the lightest, fastest machine you can possibly produce. So
That's fair.
I don't want to add any weight. For me, I'm always like, and push starting it can be a pain in the ass if it's a bad night. But man, even people love to see that.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like it does give it an aura when, those tracks that have the hump coming onto the track and you see, sprint car after sprint car. But I think now that I think about it, Chili Bowl 2, I mean, that's a tiny track, right? And you're trying to get Jeeps and push trucks out there with 24 other midgets out there. Like that probably doesn't help the situation either. But yeah, I'm just curious about, the different starting mechanisms and stuff. But it looks like Sean maybe answered our question there in the chat. Silver Crowns have starters, but also have a transmission. So that makes sense.
That's why Silver Crown cars have to weigh 1,600 pounds, I think, too. So, I mean, you just add in weight. They're bigger chassis and everything, but they have a 75-gallon fuel cell, too. So, I mean, they're carrying around at the beginning of the race 800. What is that? So it's 6.5, it's a little over 6.5 pounds per gallon. So,
right
at
7-ish.
Pounds of fuel.
Crazy.
At the beginning
Hopefully
of the show.
Yeah. Hopefully that thing don't catch on fire.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate that, Blair. Slang explained. Always learn something, or at least I do myself, learning from the man himself.
One more thing on that, too. I had forgot it. I had no idea. Like I said, I was so new to sprint cars. Austin Gossel actually came over when I was idling because I'd sit in the car and hold it. That, Rick from USA told me to hold that car about 2,200 RPM, warming it up. Those things just run so much fuel, but you can actually take your shutoff valve, and I've got a mark on it now to where you turn it down when you're just idling around. So you're, about only 3/4 of the way open, or maybe a little less. Right. Otherwise, you just run so much fuel through that motor.
Oh yeah.
You can almost hydrostatic lock some of those if you go to jump on it, and that thing's just running like a garden hose.
Yeah, has too much fuel in it.
That helps build temp, because we have a hard time building temp too on methanol with that much fuel running through. So
no, that's a fair point.
You have to pay attention to, but you'll know you get it right before the motor stumbles to keep it just rolling around under yellow. But
interesting.
Once I learned that, it was pretty helpful. Build heat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sometimes you'll take the green at 160 if you're not paying attention or don't have a bunch of laps to warm it up. You want it up there.
Yeah. Block heaters. Learn that, helping you out. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're 30 minutes in. I guess we'll fire up some Cars Gone Wild. And this is a lot of your favorite segment, as is ours. Get a drink here before we start, because I know we're going to laugh our asses off. Do we have it? Oh, we want to talk about the Corey Day kind of thing, and that'll be we'll play one of his videos. Obviously, is in the Cars Gone Wild, and then Blair and I will chat about that because I think that's the last thing on the docket. So, where do we even begin? All right, here we go. Cars Gone Wild. Everybody, get ready to laugh. Here we go. I'll pull up this guy here. Here we go. Good self-portrait. There we go.
Not quite racing related, but podcast host related, maybe.
We like a good laugh. All right, we'll go to if I can find my page. Got too many things open. Did I close it out? I believe I did. Go back to it. This one, I had never seen it before, and Blair shared it right before the podcast, and it is absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to cue this one up. And that last one, shout out to official Bad Daddy on Instagram. Got to give credit where credit is due. Hilarious. All right, here we go. You have to listen closely to this one.
He just ain't gonna do that shit.
What's that?
My favorite.
Oh,
Yeah, you damn right I got time out there. Oh, that stupid ass flagman. They got a dumbass flagman that can't see. You know, we sat there, the USAC officials yelled yellow. I sat there and he shut the green light back off. He turned the green light back on, so I got in the tuck position. Sure enough, we got hit. He's a fat little query son of a bitch. Little son of a bitch. I'll get his neck. And then he wants to use his USAC shirt that says authority. You know, his little son of a bitch probably makes 175 a week, which is fine. But he makes his shirt on, and then he's authority. Got all this power, and he wants to just go back to the pits. Well, he fucked up. And he can kiss my dick. And if I get the chance, he's going to.
Right there.
I'm all right.
oh my God! You can kiss my dick.
That was, I don't know where he came up with that one. I'd never heard that.
No, I've never heard that one before.
Oh, that's an old clip, but man, sometimes you just gotta watch. I rewatched that one.
I love those post-race interviews that are just raw and real and no hold back. I mean, kiss my dick.
You don't hear that from the boys anymore. They're all too.
Oh no, yeah, I think Tony Stewart was the last one that used to do that. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a lot actually. Cars Gone Wild, and we got a lot of time, so lucky for us. I sent this next one to Blair. I believe it was last week. This company came out with a new dipping sauce for chicken tenders or shrimp or whatever you're dipping your fingers in, I guess. So go ahead and play this.
To our unique sauce containers. One finger at a time.
Yum.
2 fingers.
Okay.
And then, if everybody's cool with it, work up to 3.
No, two's good for now.
I'll take what I can get.
If my friends aren't around, I'll just finger blast myself.
Nice! Nice!
Food prude. So 2 sauces at once.
That's a shocker. Finger blasting is the best.
To our unique sauce.
Oh my God. Finger blast. You got it, Scott. We'll oh, good stuff. All right. This next one, a wife was asked how fast it was for her. So we'll share this one. Good old horse racing.
I just had the ride of my life, and I'm going to cry definitely at least once in this interview. So maybe it's going to come now. That's the best ride I've ever had, ever in my entire life. It was incredible. It went very quickly. I think I was just like, whoa, in a focus. So it's gone past. I can't believe it's done. I just had.
There you go. Sometimes, yeah. All right. For actual racing, we do actually have some racing clips and some pictures to show you. So this next one came from Corey Day. If you guys saw the wreck, kind of did a 50-50 grind there on the wall. So kind of glad he's okay, first and foremost. So we'll share that one. Top your screen here. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, 50-50 grind. I give him a 10 out of a 10. And the podcast is officially ran by 12-year-old boys. Well, we never claimed to act our age, Tara. So anyway, next one, I had just seen it for the first time. Blair had seen it. It's a pretty wild one. Don't know if he's okay or not, but I assume he is.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Look out. Bad stuff.
Race.
Yeah, leader of the race, and got too high, gotten bouncing, and got in the tires. All right, last 3 images of the night coming from our friends at B Main Boys. Share this one for you. I think we can all attest to this one at any of our local short tracks here. When you first open the door to the porta shitter in the pits. Yep, they're never yet to go to a racetrack, even a national track, that you don't smell the sweet remnants of fecal matter and pee. So there you go.
Those bathrooms. There's one where you go in and it's literally sloped downhill.
Oh,
so
God.
you go in there, the whole, like the toilet and everything, you sit leaning backwards. It's almost like a recliner, but not so comfortable.
Oh my God. Yeah. And speaking of, Blair mentioned this the last few races of the season when everything is bent and your motor is worn out. Good old Mick from Rocky. Get up, you son of a bitch. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
All right. And then Blair's favorite of the night when a guy dumps you in the amen. So you hit him with the old dick twist. So if you see this move at your local short track, got to grab him in the dick and I guess hawk to or whatever you want to do there. So good stuff.
We've also commented you're asking for it if you're wearing tennis shoes with your race.
That's fair. Yeah. If you show up wearing dad New Balances, I mean, you're just asking for memes. So anyway, round of applause there. That's what we had for Cars Gone Wild this week. So hopefully you guys got a good laugh on a Monday night. There you go. Brim Camp, he knows what to do. Grab his dick and twist it. There you go.
He's not even talking about racing.
Oh, shots fired. Well, you better win a race or you and him are going to have a lot of laughs the rest of this.
Yeah.
The rest of this year. All right, so let's get into kind of what we're talking about, Corey Day, to kind of cap off the night here. So I'll let you kind of dive into it.
Well, we were just talking. It's funny when you get these kids. I mean, he's kind of a phenom now. Everybody's focus. I've even seen a lot of people comment that that's their favorite driver and stuff. I'm like, shit, he hadn't even been there. But at the national scene, I hadn't heard his name before this year.
Yeah.
But we're talking about guys that, he's been obviously really fast, but he's also trashed a lot of cars and gotten into people, and whether those are even his fault or not, when you're being aggressive, it's going to happen. But kind of the advantage that national full-time guys have, I don't know the exact number of cars he's either gotten upside down or wrecked, or junked or how bad they even were. But,
that kickflip or that 50-50 grind did not end well. I saw the pictures afterwards.
No. And he's going for it. So there's you get no criticism from me. It's just funny when, like Brandon and I had talked about a local budget, I can maybe rebuild the car depending on how bad it is once or twice a year. If it's chassis and stuff, we're pretty lucky. Sprint car chassis really aren't that expensive. It's like $6,700 for a Maxim or something like that. But you get into tearing motor mounts off or ripping rear ends out and steering gears. And, those cars are 120 grand a piece, 115, 120,000 a piece. And they're going to roll a brand new piece out or something really nice.
Yeah.
But what a big advantage that is for these national tour guys. Yeah.
And we were also in the pre-show, we were talking, it's jealousy, right? That Blair and I are even bringing this up. Really, we all wish we had a ride that we didn't have to pay for. That's step number one. Step number two is exactly what Blair was alluding to, that you can run, for sprint cars' sake, you can run that right rear on the cushion or half an inch off the wall and just go for it every lap, every race. And, if you junk it, oh, well, there'll be a new one sitting for me, either in the feature or the next night or whatever the case is. But it's definitely a different perspective when you're not in that situation and paying for your own stuff. And, I feel like at the national scene, obviously that's the best of the best. So I'd expect, money is there, funding is there, spare cars, spare parts, all that good stuff. But can you imagine how much the intensity or the races would look like on a local scene if that were the case? Like, holy smokes. Like, obviously you'd have a lot more wrecks, probably a lot more dick twisting and all that kind of stuff, but man, it would ramp it up. So yeah, just wanted to chat about that because it's interesting.
Well,
Go ahead.
It is funny too. And you can't blame a guy because at that level, if you are in a ride of that quality and have the backing, your job is to win. There's no doubt. It's not to finish fifth. It's not to points race or to keep in it, in the points, that's going to come if you're fast anyway. But, also the experience you gain, so for instance, when I went to Lincoln County, I followed Hafferty out and he had never been on that track. Nobody had been on that track for 25 years in a sprint car or something like that. In a winged sprint car, but that guy's been to so many racetracks and ran to the ragged edge that I knew if I followed him out, he was going to show you the way around. And in lap one, he basically was wooded going down in there. Well, I've never seen that track. So am I going to be as committed the first lap out? No, the answer, you know what I mean? It's just a different mentality. And granted, nobody wants to tear their stuff up. I mean, you can get hurt and bad shit happens and start going over the edge, but those guys that get to race 90 times a year, 100 times a year, you don't have to worry about equipment that, you don't want to wreck it, but if it happens, that's all right. You're going to fix it or there's going to be another one.
Yeah.
It's just a different mentality, but I guarantee you, even though Trimble's driving for Matika Hefner Racing, they probably don't have an unlimited amount. So he's in the situation where he's driving for somebody and expected to go get wins.
Well, and he said, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he doesn't see, and that's the thing. Like, so when the A main comes around, you can't think about it. If you do, you're not gonna be fast. That's the bottom line. So when we throw the visor down and they throw the green flag, all that shit goes out the window. Of now I have one job to do. But if I do wreck it, then it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month. It's just
might be the year, depending.
Yeah, you're out of seat time, and then you lose that seat time, and those guys gain an advantage. And sometimes you see. Not that he's not a super talented one, but you have seen guys that stick around in whatever form of motorsport it is, just because it can be funded. And that's the only time it gets to me is I'm like, that guy just is there because, you see that in NASCAR a lot. Now that's kind of what turned me on. The midget ride, they can pay for it. They're in it. Yeah.
And that actually sparks a thing that I actually read this past weekend on social media. I think it was I'm switching to asphalt here just to bring up that point, but Sheldon Creed, actually in his post-race interview, I can't remember if it was Darlington or I think it was Darlington last week, said that he's actually not even getting paid this year, and he's running a part-time deal and whatnot with JGR and whatnot. But and I was like, what do you mean you're not getting paid? Because we think all these national drivers are just loaded, and some of them are, with all due respect too, but they have to bring so many millions of dollars in sponsorship to the team. Yeah, and that's their contribution. Like, they're not getting kickbacks. Like, you are in a ride and that's your payday. So I thought that was mind-blowing that the cost of racing at that national level costs so much that and that's what's sad to see is a lot of these people, and it's debated on other podcasts too, that some of these guys don't have some of the good talent like these grassroots guys do, but they don't have the funding or the sponsorship. And then on the opposite side, you have these guys who aren't as talented, but they got millions of dollars in backing, getting these rides and stepping on their dicks week in, week out. But it's all about the almighty dollar at the end of the day with racing. And it's just a weird spot. And and it's back to the Corey Day thing. It's like there's a lot of Kyle Larson fans out there. And I'm one of them, but he's similar, like, especially in a sprint car. Sometimes you see it in the Cup Series, mainly last year, not so much this year, but he's either I'm winning the damn thing or it's leaving on a hook. And that's just his, and it's worked out for him a lot of times, but also at the same time, it hasn't. And I think Corey Day's kind of in that same realm of, hey, I'm out here to win, like Blair said, and that's my job, and I'm going to go do it at all costs. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's badass. I mean, I like to see, we even talked about how aggressive they're setting up the wing sprint cars now. Like, the game has changed with the, even on a track, some of those clips we watched, kind of rough, still pretty tacky. The right rear's tucked in, and those things are on the ragged edge of being just tight enough that thing's going to hook up, and whether they're pulling front wheels, or the car won't even slide. Sometimes it's hooked up to where they can go around the top, just wooded.
Yeah.
But, for your local or regional guy, sure, you can do it, but man, you might not be racing, but half the schedule you wanted to. And then that pisses sponsors off. So if you do have sponsors, we see that a lot. And I know, guys will commit and say they're going to run a full season. They go out, junk the car once, and then they're not back out. Well, guess what? That sponsor says, well, you weren't, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. I didn't, I gave you the money that you needed, even if it's a set of tires or something, that's getting hard to come by. But I think that's really hurt racers with sponsors is if you can't fix it, they're not coming back because they paid for the advertising. Yeah.
And they paid for the whole season or a certain amount of races or whatever. So, and I've thought about that too. And Jordan's comment there too about NASCAR taking, 90% of the revenue. That's fair too. I don't know how, NASCAR team owners week in, week out, if your last name's not Hendrick or Gibbs or something, like, I don't know how they do it, but I mean, sponsorship in general in local racing is hard to come by. And then, like, that's a good point that I've never really thought about. Like, if you have a proposal and you say, hey, I'm racing 12 races this year and I want your name on the card, work out the deal, everything's good. You go out there and junk it. Well, that you might have looked cool for 5 seconds, giving it the onions. But I mean, because what good's the sponsorship when the car's in the shop somewhere torn up? So that's something I never even thought about. So it's
kind of to Jordan's point too, is it was Kyle Larson, I'm sure, was talking that the top top 8 guys probably in Outlaws and High Limit are actually making more than half your field in the cup level even, you know. I think you said like 2/3. So I mean, you saw that Corey Day pulled down like $650,000 and they were only like 60 races in or something, or so he's like 10 grand a show. And they say it costs $10,000 to open the back door tonight, but obviously most of the drivers in dirt are on a 50-50 contract, so they get 50% of winnings.
Right. Well, and two, I feel like they race more, obviously, more trips. NASCAR season 36 plus the playoffs, but like the amount of time that NASCAR drivers have to stay there with the bus and practice qualifying and like these shows that sprint car racing is putting out is, I mean, they're 2-3 times a week, but they're quick shows and they're, like you said, making just as much, if not more, than some of the cup level drivers, which is crazy. I mean, it's a national scene, right? High Limit, NOS Energy Drink, or the World of Outlaws.
It's your TV ratings and stuff, and it's not comparable. So there's a lot of bloat at that top level too. I mean, that's kind of like anything. It's like when your favorite band that nobody's ever heard of gets on the radio, all of a sudden it's like that corporate mainstream. It's like, shit, it's changed. And NASCAR built that way to me, to where the dirt will probably get there. We'll probably all get priced out of sprint cars, but I think there's ways to go, you know?
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see, but it is a different perspective when you put on a lens of, you know, I have a ride at the top level and I'm not paying for it. I'm not even working on it. Like one of the, one of the points I was going to make when I went to that High Limit race down in Fort Worth, you know, getting in the pits before the race and whatnot, and saying hi to all the drivers and autographs and whatever. Ricky Stenhouse didn't even, like, his team was worried, obviously had NASCAR obligations up the road at the big track, but he didn't even show up till about 5 minutes, you know, before hot laps and stuff like that. And his team had his car ready, prepped, sitting there, ready for him to jump in. And I'm like, man, that must be the life, you know, just because we're, you know how it is on a local Saturday night or Friday night. You're there 3 hours early, getting everything unloaded, everything that ensues. You're dog tired before the race even starts. And here comes Stenhouse, didn't even do nothing, hops in the car. And so
I think
pretty
there's
crazy.
probably some disadvantage of that too, though, not being that acclimated with the team and talking about their notes. You see some of those guys that have done that struggle. I mean, even like Casey Kane, he was obviously a pretty high level race car driver, but you don't hear him at the top of the list in the 410 stuff, and he runs a full schedule. And I mean, I don't know what the financial situation is, but I can't imagine them being underfunded.
Well, Brad Sweet's doing pretty good, so
that's exactly. So I mean, you know, it's not easy even for those guys that come from what you would call
it is interesting to understand why he might win a heat race here or there, but he just I don't know what to do. Maybe it's just his age, and I'm sure driving those things, I've never driven one, but I'm sure it takes it's a young man's game. I mean, Swindell's still out there battling elbows up with the best of them, but I don't know. It's interesting why he struggles in the 9 car, but Brad Sweet freaking is a contender every week.
Kane, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably just whether they just haven't quite clicked. But yeah, you know, it's I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
I like to see, because then it's like, oh, you got this guy that raced NASCAR and was, you know, fast for a few years, or really fast.
Yeah, I think he's got 9 cup wins or something like that.
So I mean, no joke behind the wheel. And the guy can drive. There's no doubt about it. The fact of, like we talked about, setup and everything, and you know, you got to have the right car, and it's different, you know. Yeah, no doubt. Well, and I think to that point, you know, NASCAR is too, but you know, High Limit, World of Outlaws, like that, week in, week out, that's literally the best in the world, like at that, you know, division. So maybe, I mean, Casey could step down, you know, go to local stuff and probably wax the field, but maybe it's just the talent around him in the High Limit that's outstanding. Well,
and he's just kind of
everybody's up there. Even Tony Stewart had said that he didn't want to race Knoxville. You know, he was like, I'm nervous about Knoxville. It's like, dude, this is everything. And, you know, so it is just a little bit different. I've come to find that out, even at the regional level. These guys are fast. In fact, Hank, dang, I'm blanking on the name right now, but we raced with him at Casper, and he ended up waxing him at the national tour 2 nights in a row in Montana, you know, so there's talent there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but helps when you have backup cars and funding behind you, so you can go balls out every lap. Racing, you know how that is. If you drive your street car around every day, you know exactly the little ins and outs of that. If you race 100 times a year, your ass feels every movement in that cart. It's either your butt or your feet, and then your hands just follow. But you get so comfortable with something. I know when we raced the lightning sprint like 20 plus times a year, I knew exactly when we unloaded that car what that thing was going to do and how close I could get it to the fence. If I slid off the corner at apex, just 2 inches, it was like you could almost thread a needle with that thing.
Right. No, that's fair. Yeah. I think it's a good point too. Like you said, if you trash the car, my last point here is you trash the car, then you're not in it and you're not getting that valuable, feeling it by the seat of your pants, and the other people are. So yeah. Danny McBride, they do televise. Oh, I guess you're talking mainstream, not a app, Dirt Vision. Yeah, that would be nice. And that's a whole nother episode we could talk through with all the streaming platforms and subscriptions and stuff. And they got me, I got them all. So
yes, I don't have, that's what we've talked about. I've watched some of yours, but I don't have any of them because I'm like, well, there goes the right rear, and there go, it's really coming down to that for us.
Yeah,
so
it's expensive.
For my Starbucks coffee every once in a while, I've cut out absolutely everything.
He doesn't get the double pumps anymore. He just gets a single because sprint cars, Starbucks can kiss his dick. Oh, good stuff. All right. Well, I believe that brings us to the end of our regular scripted show here tonight. So we appreciate everybody joining in as always. And thanks for letting us have a break with the Labor Day weekend, and football's back. So I know everybody's enjoying that too. And the race season's getting into the your basic bitch, pumpkin spice.
I'm still a basic bitch. So
yeah, he switched to the pumpkin spice shaving cream too. So
yeah, mainstream. Danny, that's what we were just talking about. It does. It's like, obviously the younger generation, I pretty much catch all the recaps on YouTube because I don't sit around and just, but it would be cool to see him back on like an ESPN even or something like that. Just
Thursday Night Thunder.
Audience that doesn't have it, that hasn't seen it or been exposed to it. I think the best thing you can do is share it on social media, because even, Danny's obviously active on Facebook and all those guys, and they do a good job for us even sharing stuff. And
yeah, I think with the way that High Limit and World of Outlaws is going and the popularity, I wouldn't be surprised if they got a TV, whatever that's called, spot with one of the local stations. But it's hard to compete with, the NFL, NASCAR, to find a slot that, and maybe it would be pre-recorded and not live, but I'm sure it's coming because a lot of people, probably don't want to pay for a subscription or can't afford it or both or whatever. So I wouldn't be shocked in the next 5 years if we see mainstream sprint car racing at least. So, but anyway, we enjoyed the show tonight. Hopefully you guys did too. And if you didn't catch the whole thing, go back and watch us on our Facebook page, on our brand new YouTube page. Just tell your friends, tell your family. Let's get those follows up. Let's get those likes up. If you're so inclined, send us some stars. We'd appreciate that too. Just keep continuing to grow it together. Blair and I will be back on next Monday for another episode. And if you didn't catch all the drama that happened at CNS again this past Saturday, tune in to Hitting the Chip tomorrow, 7:30 Mountain with Jake and Jordan. I'm sure they're going to tell us all about it and their opinion, especially because it's stemming from their class, it seems like, the last couple of weeks. So definitely tune in there and see what they have to say about it. But I'll pass to Blair. But thanks, guys, for tuning in.
All right. Well, for my Wyoming peeps, I know we have quite a few people from Wyoming that watch and stuff. We will be there this weekend. So Friday and Saturday is a doubleheader. That they actually put the show back on. So they've been struggling, which sucks because we've talked about it a lot. I love that place. Big, fast, nasty half mile. Usually goes dry slick.
Same with the women in Wyoming.
But no comment. But yeah, so if you got nothing going on, or we even get some Colorado people that drive out there and support, the fans are great. The track's a lot of fun. Promoter's awesome. 2 nights. So we're Friday and Saturday, should be pretty good car count, decent purse. Come check that out. And then the next weekend, they added a show back in Colorado. So I talked to Bellman. We talked about it at the pit meeting at El Paso County last time. So we will be in Holyoke, which is another. Hey, if you've ever never been there and you're on the Colorado-Nebraska border, that place is super fast on the backstretch. It's dog legs, so it's a big 3/8.
Yeah, they haven't run much this year.
No, in fact, we didn't have any. They run like other classes there probably 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah.
But it's got a big dog leg on the backstretch, and you pull from the center of the apex, I mean, wide open at the apex, all the way down to that other end with a 604 gear. So you're probably, you're hauling ass when you get down to the 3 and 4.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good that they added that for sure.
Yeah. So if you guys know anybody that is looking to race from that Nebraska, I mean, even the Northern Plains and the Frontier region, tell them about it. So that won't be this weekend, but next. So bring them out and let's race them.
Bring them out. Let's run them. Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate it as always. And for Blair's sake, hopefully he gets a win in the next 2 weeks, or he's going to be bald face and divorced. So hopefully that's not the occurrence for Mr. Blair. But appreciate you guys. Again, tune in tomorrow, Hitting the Chip, Jake and Jordan, and Blair and I will be back next Monday night. So appreciate the support. Have a great week, and good luck to all those racing this weekend. Holla at you boys. This has been another episode under Scrubbin' Tires Media. Creator and producer of Scrubbin' Tires Media is Brandon Hall. The Hitting the Chip podcast is hosted by Jacob and Jordan Smith. The Throwin Sliders podcast is hosted by Blair Cooper and Brandon Hall. Video and audio creator is Bryce Holcomb. Intro and outro music is owned and produced by Young Troubadour on YouTube. All episodes were created using StreamYard. Thanks for watching, listening, and supporting Scrubbin' Tires Media. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep scrubbing those tires.